Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about PLUR1BUS, which we finished last year, I believe, but we were on break and we're catching up on stuff now. We're catching up on all the things. Last week we did Stranger Things. This week we're doing PLUR1BUS, and this kind of catches us up with all the stuff that we'd been finished before we went on break, basically, or like around when we went on break. So that's our main topic. We also have an On the Horizon segment. We're going to talk about what's coming up in the next week or so, and an On Beat segment where we've got 3 trailers to go over. Let's start things off with On the Horizon.
On the horizon.
This week on the Horizon, Memory of a Killer. This is a new drama. It stars Patrick Dempsey. It has Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos in it. It's about a hitman who has early onset Alzheimer's. And so it's kind of like navigating that field, but his mind's not all there. It's a TV series that's coming on Sunday, January 25th to Fox, and then on Hulu on the next day. Wonder Man is coming on Tuesday, January 27th to Disney+. This is a weird thing for Disney+, because they're dropping the entire series at once, like a Netflix-style drop. So,
that is odd.
Yeah, it's odd. It doesn't really spell a lot of confidence. I'm interested in this. I think it looks good to me. There are things that concern me, though, at the same time.
It really feels like they're just like shoving it out.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about it, but it looks good to me, but there's a lot of red flags there as well, so we'll have to see how that ends up. The Wrecking Crew, this is the movie with Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista, is coming on Wednesday, January 28th to Amazon Prime. That's gonna be like a no-duh watch for me in 1 week's time. Like I said, this gives me, even though it's not the same director, it's just the same network, gives me heavy, like, Heads of State vibes, just like the way it's like a buddy action, over-the-top action movie kind of thing, you know? With 2 likable characters. So I'm excited to kind of check that one out. I think Heads of State worked, and The Wrecking Crew looks like it might be even better.
Oh, for sure.
Then we've got Dispatch is coming on Thursday, January 29th to Switch 2, and the Switch 1 as well. It's coming to both. Yeah. This is already out on other platforms. It was released as an episodic game where each episode came out over time, but they're all coming out at once on Switch 2. I think this is like the last platform it's coming to, basically. And yeah, I'm excited for this one. This is one that I really wanted to play last year, to the point where I don't really like playing on PC, but I was considering it for Dispatch, just because I'm like, it'll be a pretty easy, like, laid-back play experience, so I might be able to do that on PC anyways. Then it got announced for Switch 2, and I was like, oh, easy choice there. So I'm looking forward to that. That's my next Switch 2 game. So that's coming again on Thursday, January 29th. And then Send Help is coming on Friday, January 30th to theaters. That is the new Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah, it'll be good.
We talked about the trailer for it before. Yeah, I'm hyped for that. I'm a big Sam Raimi fan, so this one has me written all over it. That is it for our On the Horizon segment. And now we're going to move on to On Beat. On Beat is our news segment. We've got 3 trailers to go over today, and we're going to start with The Dreadful, in which Jon Snow just can't get enough incest. Now he's hooking up with Sansa. What's going on, Will?
I don't know. This has nothing to do with Game of Thrones, even though, like, this is set in medieval times. It seems like more of, like, a fairy tale type vibe.
It's like fairy tale, ghost story, but, like, in a medieval setting.
Oh, yeah, that's what gives it its fairy tale-ness.
I think that makes it interesting to me, because we get a lot of these kind of ghost story kind of horror films and stuff, but having it set in like medieval age with like actual knights and stuff like that is like, that's kind of like an interesting switch on it that I don't think we've really seen much of.
Yeah. So basically this stars Sophie Turner, Kit Harington, and Marcia Gay Harden. and it appears to be the story of Sophie Turner is this young woman. She's living with her mother, apparently, and her mother seems to be like very possessive and controlling, is telling her stories about demons and monsters to try to get her to stay, but then she meets this character played by Kit Harington, and they fall in love, and then her mother is like really like psychotic and ruthless. She slits a guy's throat and everything. That seems to be like the gist of it that I got from the trailer.
Yeah, interesting. It's also very interesting to put people who played siblings before as romantic interest.
Right, yeah.
Because, I mean, literally, that's basically the only thing that both of those actors are truly known for, you know? They've both done other things, but that's what they're known for, and it's a little weird.
Don't you think, like, Sophie Turner is most famous for Dark Phoenix?
Oh, yeah, totally. Kit Harington's most famous for the Eternals.
Yeah, for the Eternals, for the 5 minutes of screen time he got.
Yeah, what was that one? He was in that Pompeii movie or whatever. That's what Kit Harington's most famous for.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers Game of Thrones, but Pompeii, man, everyone's still talking about that movie.
That is timeless.
Yeah. Or that tennis comedy he made, like on HBO, like way back. That's what people know Kit Harington for. Our next trailer is for a movie called Heel. This stars the father from Adolescence. So, yeah.
And he's got an adolescent in his basement.
Yeah. Stephen Graham is the actor's name I was thinking of. Adolescence was like an amazing series. We talked about that last year.
It won the Emmy for Best Limited Series. Did you see that?
Yeah, and more importantly, it won technical production from the OnScreenies.
Yes. An even more prestigious honor.
Yes. It looks interesting because it looks twisty. Like, it looks like what we're initially presented is not all that's happening. Well, there's some psychological shit going on.
Yeah, it's a thriller, right? So, I was waiting for you to go over it. It's a thriller, so, like, he has this young teenage... Well, I would say, like, young teen. He's definitely late teens. He's literally, like, almost adult.
Yeah.
Probably, like, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Chained up in his basement. And the thing is, like, this kid is apparently, like, a violent kid, has issues, and I guess what this guy, Stephen Graham's character, is trying to do is try to rehabilitate him.
Mm-hmm. Bring him to heel.
Yeah, bring him to heel, yeah. And so, like, it's the whole tension of, like, what's gonna happen? This guy's doing extreme things. This kid's unstable. What's gonna happen if he escapes? It's like, seems like there's, like, a lot of tension there.
They're playing it initially at the idea that it might be, like, his son. And then towards later in the trailer, they're, like, questioning that.
Like,
making it sound like this is somebody that he's, like, abducted or taken from somebody else or in some other way. It looks like this is gonna have some interesting turns. And Stephen Graham being attached makes it, like, feel like that's almost a certainty. So.
Oh, absolutely.
That looks good. And then the last trailer we're going over is Tuner. So this is about a guy who's got like kind of an auditory disability where he has trouble with like loud sounds, and he works as a piano tuner, and he ends up becoming a safecracker because he figures out that he's very good at it, and
for the same reason
money.
He's very good. He's a very good piano tuner.
Yes. The same thing that makes him good as a piano tuner is his like ability to distinguish sounds very, very clearly and accurately. Makes him like a great safecracker and just like a naturally gifted safecracker. And yeah, he gets involved in it which is how people get involved in bad things like this, how they break bad. It's because they need money because they're in a desperate situation.
Yep. And so he gets involved with the mafia and things spiral out of control from there.
Yeah, looks kind of like a heist movie drama. It looks good.
Yeah.
But that is it for our trailers and our On Beat segment. And now we're going to move on to our final segment, full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about PLUR1BUS. This is the new show created and run by Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He also previously wrote on The X-Files. That's kind of where he got his major start. Like, I don't think it was the first thing he worked on, but it's where he really got his name into the industry, as a writer on The X-Files. And that is what's suitable here, because unlike Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, this is like a sci-fi story. So his chops working on The X-Files are coming back to play here. This was a big mysterious project. Remember when we were first heard about this and everything was so vague and cagey about what this was about?
Oh yeah, basically when they announced he was doing it, like all he said was it was a science fiction story, and he said the protagonist would be a hero, that he wasn't like doing another story about a Walter White. Yeah. And he said it would be a science fiction story, but it would be grounded, so like it wouldn't be like overly fantastical.
Yeah, nobody's like talking about putting something into warp speed and then saying "aye aye, Captain."
Yeah,
that's not this kind of sci-fi.
But that's all we.
Like
that's
even
all we
more
knew
of a grounded sci-fi than like X-Files or something.
But that's all we knew from the outset.
Yeah, basically we knew that, and we knew that Rhea Seehorn was going to be the lead, and she was in Better Call Saul, and that he kind of had written this for her, and that he had taken this over to Apple TV Plus because some of the producers at Sony that he worked for, that worked with Sony and AMC, had moved over to Apple TV Plus, so he went over with them.
Basically, like his producer. The person who like greenlit Breaking Bad at AMC was at Apple TV, and that's why he moved over.
Yes. And that's kind of, so we were like, okay, what's this going to be like? We're automatically on board because it's Vince Gilligan. That was like all we really needed. You had us at Vince Gilligan, basically. And for me, I do not like Apple, but I was like, okay, the second the show comes out, I'm subscribing to Apple TV Plus and keeping that subscription until the show is done so I can watch through the entire series as it's meant to be seen week by week. And yeah, we did that. That was all last year. And now we're talking about it. So let's talk like big picture first. What did you think of this show? Like, how would you categorize your feelings about this show without going into like details about the plot or anything?
It's intriguing. It's kind of strange because it's a slow-paced show. Not a lot happens moment to moment, but there's these mysteries and there's these questions that they slowly get answered episode by episode that just keeps you invested. And also, it helps that the main character, Carol, is portrayed by Rhea Seehorn, is such a fun character to follow as well.
Total misanthrope, yeah.
Total misanthrope. That is the glue that binds it.
Yeah. I think it's very weird because for me, I keep doubting the show. Like, and I'm doubting it now. Like, having finished the season, I'm like, I just don't know where they're going to go with this. Like, I don't really know how much there's left to do. And I would have that feeling basically after every single episode. And then every new episode was like, oh, wow, that's interesting and new and different, And then I would still come away like feeling this sense of kind of doubt.
Yeah, like even now, like having seen the ending, it's like, what are they gonna do? What's their direction? And Vince Gilligan has like 5 seasons of this in his head. And I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
But like, the thing is, not knowing that, that's intriguing to me. That intrigues me enough to stick around.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how? Okay, well, I want to see how.
I don't think I've ever had to remind myself so much that something's good. And it's weird to say that. And that's not like a negative. Like, that's not me saying like coping by saying like, oh, but this must be good, so I should keep watching it, or saying, no, I mean like, I genuinely watch it and think, wow, this is amazing. And then somewhere between me finishing that episode and the next episode starting, I put myself into the circle of doubt about the show where I'm just like, but where are they gonna go? What are they gonna do? Like, it's just gonna kind of keep spinning its wheels. It's not really gonna do anything. And then the very next episode proves me wrong entirely. And then I leave the episode feeling all hyped up. And then by the time the next episode comes out, I'm in the exact same circle of doubt. It's very weird. And it's just because if you look at this on paper without looking at like who's making it, it doesn't seem like it would work.
Here's the other interesting thing, too, is that it's not a mystery box show, which is interesting because, like, there are mysteries, there are questions, but Vince Gilligan answers pretty much every question that comes up at a pretty rapid pace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the pacing for that is pretty rapid. We learn, like, a few episodes in exactly what the others, the hive mind, like, what they are, pretty much. Or at least not like what they are, at least like how they function. We know the rules.
There's no big like plan that we are unaware of. It's kind of like even the characters that are kind of putting things into this place, the hive mind, as you say, even the hive mind itself is kind of unsure about where things are heading. You know what I mean? Like they don't know, and that's kind of what makes it like really interesting is that this just happens. It just happens to these people. An event occurs. This happens. This hive mind thing takes place. They start going with their initiatives of what they feel like an imperative to do, which is bring more people into the hive mind. They feel like a genetic imperative to do that. And then they don't really know anything beyond human understanding or knowledge. Like they don't have some secret universal knowledge or understanding of why the things are working the way they are. It just is.
It just is.
And there's nobody that knows. There's literally, this show, I believe, has something like, 9 characters technically in it?
Yeah.
Because if you count the hive mind as basically one character, then you basically have everybody who's not in the hive mind, which is like, I think they said 8 or 11?
They said there's 11 survivors. Yeah. And I don't even think we meet, like, all 11 of them in the show. I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, they do the council where they do all the ones that speak English, and that was 8.
Yes.
And then there's another major character who teaches himself English and kind of comes in. He's kind of like going to be one of the focuses going into season 2 as well.
Manusos, yeah. This is, like, where the show gets really... What's going to happen next? Well, I mean, Vince Gilligan still has tricks, right? Because, like, for the first season, we're basically following Carol, and now we know going into season 2, there's somebody else now. There's Manusos, who is going to be working alongside her, and they have, like, a very interesting relationship already. So he's slowly... And I've seen, like, online people complaining about the pacing, but he's slowly, like, layering on these elements that are making it richer. It's
interesting how many, like, little touches they add to it, because it's like, okay, so you got this hive mind thing. So, like, yeah, let's basically describe it. This is full spoilers. The way the show starts is that they get a signal from space. They end up, all these scientists are trying to figure out what it is. They end up figuring out that it's like a sequence, like a chemical sequence.
It's an RNA chemical sequence, yeah. And which they try to recreate in a lab.
And they test it on some mice, and then one of the mice ends up biting one of them, and it transmits, and that leads to this hive mind. And basically, almost everybody on the entire planet is now in this hive mind. They all share each other's thoughts, but yeah.
Yeah, basically anybody who comes into contact with this RNA gets infected and gets joined to this hive mind. So it's like one entity. And basically in rapid time it manages to take over the planet. There are approximately 11 people on the planet who have proven to be immune to it.
By the N10?
By the N10. The hive mind was very upfront that they are working on getting those people converted.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the initial source of drama, source of tension here. The protagonist, Carol Sturka, who is a romance novelist, she proves to be one of the immune, and she very much does not want to be a member of the hive mind. And so she's kind of like proactively trying to figure out a way to solve this issue. The other survivors, not so much.
Yeah.
The others
are one key exception that we come to understand later, you know?
Oh, yeah. Because the others are like pretty much, they're okay with what's happening. For various reasons. There are 3 of them that we really know by name.
There's 3 kind of key figures. Like there's several others, but they're kind of like just there. They're just part of the background kind of.
Yeah, we're just gonna like ignore them. So there's Mr. Diabate.
He's having the time of his life.
They're treating him like a king. And so he does not care because
he's
he is
living in Vegas, like basically controlling the entire town and all the people within it. He has like a harem.
And this is like another thing I should point out about this hive mind. Like, we learned the rules of the hive mind pretty early on. Like, the thing about them is they serve the survivors. They will do anything the survivors ask them to do. They will get them anything they want.
Like basically to make,
basically make them comfortable as much as possible.
Yeah, they won't kill anything.
This is why Mr. Diabate is able to live like a king as being treated like this, because that's the way they work.
Yeah, they won't kill anything though. So like, yeah, basically their food supply is stuff that's still in the markets or like plants.
They can't harm living things. They can't lie. Those are the two of the biggest rules.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an imperative to spread, to take over other organisms that they can take over.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to
be
be
have
like
all
the
the knowledge of all of them simultaneously. They're connected.
They're connected. They have all the knowledge of mankind, and they can access that knowledge instantly. So if they need somebody to pilot a plane, they don't have to find a member of the hive who is already a pilot. They can just have like a 10-year-old do it.
Yeah, they have the collective knowledge in every single one of them.
Yes.
But because there's like a connection between them, they are susceptible to like stressors. So like if one of the other survivors, you know, the people that are not infected or joined, like yells at them or gets very emotional, it can basically send them into a seizure. And when it sends one into a seizure, it sends like the entire hive.
Yeah, it sends the entire hive into a seizure.
Which can cause mass deaths. We already know Carol's responsible for like millions of deaths already.
Because she got upset. There is like one prominent named member of the hive that we meet. That's Zosha, who is basically sent to Carol by the hive to be Carol's, you have it written in the notes, Carol's guide. Not so much that, because like her ultimate goal is like to get Carol converted. That's the ultimate goal. So she's basically there to provide Carol comfort. A big part of Carol's character is she is a lesbian. Her wife, they establish this immediately. Her wife dies in the initial incident and she's grieving. And like I mentioned, Carol is a romance author. She has a romance novel series, but she was hiding this aspect of herself from her readership, and so, like, her original protagonist was not a man, but a woman, and Zosha resembles this fictional female protagonist Carol came up with.
Yeah, they needed to try to kind of impress Carol, or to, like, impress upon her, I should say.
Yeah.
And so they found somebody amongst their ranks that looked like that character, dressed her up like that character, you know, cleaned her up, and sent her to Carol to be, like, their representative.
They sent Carol somebody that they know, like, Carol would be attracted to and, like, would not, like, immediately.
Using knowledge, because Carol's wife, Helen, who is also her manager, who you said died during the joining process, she joined before she died.
Yeah. They
have access to all of her memories. And
which deeply upsets Carol. So Zosha is basically there in the function of trying to make Carol comfortable, providing her whatever she wants. She's supposed to be a friendly face that Carol can trust. Carol still doesn't trust her up front. This changes because they wear her down. It's really interesting because it points out the whole point of, like, the hive mind being servants to the survivors and making them comfortable is because they are trying to ultimately convert them. And so they want to gain this level of trust, this level of comfort. They don't want to, like, scare these survivors because they want them to willingly come into the joining when it's time.
So this is a good opportunity to explain the title of the show. So pluribus is Latin, and it basically means many.
Yeah.
And it's written, the way the title is written is with a 1 in place of the I, meaning like many in one, you know, like as a whole.
Yeah.
And so that's like kind of the meaning of the show, and the show is about like this giant hive mind. This is also where like all of my doubts spring from, because as I said, there are basically 12 characters total in the show that can ever be, because the hive mind are all the same. Even if you have different people acting as representatives, they're still the hive mind.
Yeah.
And then you have your 11 survivors, now 10 survivors by the end of the show. That's it. That's all you can ever have.
and we already established most of the survivors don't really want to do anything. Like I said, Mr. Diabate is comfortable. There's this Indian woman, Lakshmi.
She hates Carol so much.
She hates Carol. She is fine with the situation because her young son was joined.
She's like in denial, like heavy denial.
Her young son was joined, but like he still acts like her son, so like she doesn't care.
So she plays the role that Zosha plays for Carol as like the kind of person to be there to usher her into joining as well. And she is like in a severe state of denial because she doesn't think her son's any different. She doesn't like accept it. And when it's proven to her, she gets like irate and upset.
Yeah.
To the point where she just hates Carol now. Like every time Carol does anything and it has like consequences or whatever, like she'll get a phone call.
Oh yeah.
So yelling at her.
When she made like Zosha and the rest of the hive start crying, she gets a call from Lakshmi. Says, "Why do you make my son cry?"
She's in like a heavy state of denial. And then the third kind of important, we mentioned Mr. Divate, we mentioned Lakshmi, and the third kind of important
we don't
immune
see
person.
Her. She's mentioned.
No, we see her.
Did we see her like before? I don't remember.
She was in the meeting.
Oh, okay, yeah, she was in the meeting, okay.
Yeah, that's this young girl. She's a young woman, I should say. She's maybe like, young girl implies she's like 10 or something. She's like a teenager, basically. But she's from a very small village, and basically like her guide, the representative is basically her entire village, is like operating basically to support her. And she like wants to join. She wants to be with them. And that's happens in the finale.
They're like telling her like how wonderful it is.
That's probably the most chilling thing in the entire show is the moment where she joins.
Oh, it's so creepy. Cause she's in this like lively village. People are going about their lives, and stuff. And they're like, everybody's acting totally normal. They're talking about joining her. And then as soon as they do it, and as soon as she's a member of the hive, everybody drops the act. Everybody drops what they were doing immediately. And they just mindlessly walk out of that village and abandon it.
Yeah, including her now, because she's one of them. She's joined now.
There is no reason to keep up this facade of, like, having this normal, like, village life.
So we should mention that this hive, as we've said, has this like biological imperative to get everybody to join. Like they feel this like deep need to make everybody join them. And they will do it whether or not the people want them to, but they will not violate their,
they said they can't harm a living thing, right? Yeah. So basically they need stem cells, but in order to get stem cells, you need to essentially harm a person. You need to like inject, and that's a form of physical harm. Yeah. And we know that they are incapable of.
Yeah. The thing that eventually sets Carol against it at the end of the season is that she finds out that she realizes what they didn't tell her. They didn't lie.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're jumping a little ahead. So, because like Carol finds out about this, that they can't get her stem cells, they can't inject anything in her to extract it. And this puts Carol like at ease because she's kind of like, oh, okay, well, they need my stem cells, but they can't intrude upon my physical body to get them. So like, I'm not actually in any danger of being turned anymore. And there's this whole like sequence where she has actually like driven the hive mind away, and they're helping her, but like at a distance. It was
we need space. Yeah,
we need space, and so she's going through this whole living by herself with nobody around. This drives her to a terrible loneliness. She calls Zosha, she calls the hive back, Zosha comes back, and then through a combination of like extreme loneliness and like this fear of like being turned, having like been gone, she starts trying to pursue a relationship with Zosha.
Yeah, there's an interesting kind of subplot about consent, and it's brought up with the Mr. Diabate character because, like I said, he has a harem, and the harem is all made up of people who are joined, and Carol brings up the point that he's basically raping them, that like they have to do his bidding, and so because of that, like, and he asks them, he's all, have I done anything wrong? And they're like, no, or something, and then she's like, would you be able to tell him that he's doing anything wrong? And they're like, no, it's like, so it's this weird issue of consent. It's like a very weird take on consent I don't think I've ever seen done before. The idea of like, okay, you you have this hive mind that can't think individualistically, and that means that basically they are susceptible to anybody that they want to please. And so, like, if you're in this world and you're, like, one of the people who's not infected, you can basically walk up to anybody and do whatever you want to them.
Yep. Oh,
You could stab them and kill them, you could rape them, you could do whatever, and they're okay with it, because to them it doesn't matter. Even if they die, their memories carry on in the rest of them.
And Carol, like, does the same thing. Carol enters into a relationship with Zosha that she convinces herself is real, even though, like, Zosha is a member of the hive mind. Zosha is gonna do whatever Carol wants her to do, pretty much. You know,
she gets kind of, like, seduced into violating consent.
Yeah, into violating consent, yeah. So Zosha is, like, playing the role of housewife, but it's not real, because the person Zosha has taken over didn't consent to any of this.
Yeah.
It's kind of, like, fascinating how she kind of, like, lets her guard down. She lets her feelings take over. And this is, in a way, this is what the hive mind wanted. This is basically what Zosha wanted, because now Carol's in the best position to, like, when they can go ahead and join her. There's this whole point where, while Carol is going through this, there's another survivor, Manustos, who we meet earlier, who comes from, like, I believe Argentina.
He's like in Central America.
Yeah, he's like, he comes, like, all the way from there. He finds out about Carol because Carol actually had the hive mind. She made a tape of herself explaining the hive mind, and she had it sent to all the survivors.
Translated and sent to them, yeah.
Translated and sent to them. So he saw her tape. He is unlike the other survivors. He is not, like, cool with the situation. You know, he's
like,
not cool.
I wrote on the notes, Carol times 10. You know, he's like her mindset of having a problem with it, but, like, much stricter. To the point that he doesn't think of these people as being the people that they used to be. And so, like, if they use a car, he's like, that's not your car. You don't have a right to that car. If they're in a house, they're like, you don't own that house. You don't have a right to that house. If they offer him something, he's like, you don't have anything to offer me because you don't have anything. It's other people's stuff that you've co-opted.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's kind of like his principle that, like, guides his entire
character. He won't even, like, so much as talk to any of them.
Yeah.
You know.
He's very against them. And much more so than Carol. Like, he is, like, the most extreme about it, and willing to do extreme things because he thinks that it's okay to do that because it's better than what's happening now.
He sees Carol's tape, and he sees somebody who is also, like, not turned and willing to fight this. He thinks he needs to find this person and team up with them.
But from the point that he becomes obsessed with this idea and starts making his trek, from the point that she reached out initially to him making the trek to get out there is when she's kind of had this turn in her, where she began to kind of accept.
It's very, like, interesting timing.
Yeah.
So he reaches Carol while she's in the middle of her love affair with Zosha.
Her, like, acceptance phase, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a very testuous introduction. They immediately do not like each other.
Yeah. He's like, immediately, come out into my car and we can discuss this. I don't trust that they're going to have, not have listening devices or something. And she's like, I'm not getting in the car with you. I don't know you. It's like, just come into the house. And he's like, no, I won't come to the house. So they go into a field and he's using, like, an umbrella because he doesn't want them to look down upon him. They're talking, and it's just, they are getting on each other's nerves.
Eventually she decides he can stay there, and she runs off with Zosha to have her happy ending, right? She goes to, like, all these places with Zosha, and then they had, you know, like, all these places.
It's like a honeymoon almost.
Yeah, like a honeymoon, yeah. It's like all these places, like, she talked about, like, going. And then she ends up in a ski lodge in the mountains, and she's talking to Zosha, and that's when, like, Zosha brings up her joining. And Carol is kind of like, huh? But you would need to get my stem cells. You would need to personally invade my body, and you can't do that. And Zosha's like, well, there are other ways. And that's when Carol remembers, like, she had her eggs taken out of her body for insemination to have a kid maybe someday. So she had her eggs frozen outside of her body, and she realized the hive mind knows, and that's how they're going to get her stem cells. So now the illusion of comfort is gone, but also there's this great betrayal by Zosha. Like, how dare you? You know I don't want this. I've told you. And that brings Carol back to her home, back to Manustos, where she starts making plans with Manustos. That's the end of the
Zosha
first
drops
season.
her off in a helicopter carrying a giant package hanging from beneath the helicopter. And Carol leaves Zosha. Zosha takes off. The package is left there. Manusis is like, what's that? And she just says the last 2 words of the episode, atom bomb.
Yep, atom bomb.
Which is a callback to something that happened in like episode 2, where she was talking to one of the representatives, not Zosha, but another one, about what, like, trying to figure out the rules of like what they would give her.
Trying to figure out like the limits of like, what they would do for, give her if she asked, like she was trying to, and she said like, atom bomb is like some absurd thing where she thought like clearly they would say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
To this. This is the most absurd thing I could think of. Clearly they would say no to it, and they don't.
Yeah. Same thing happened. She got a grenade at another point. There was an incident that came out of that because she didn't like take it seriously and didn't realize it was like real. She just kind of wasn't accepting that they were like at face value.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of how we end off the season, is this idea of like, well, now that whole illusion of safety is gone. And now she's got
and also like she feels
the joined
betrayed.
have a way, and the joined have a way to convert everybody, basically, except anybody that doesn't have their stem cells available to them. So Mr. Diabate is probably fine, I guess.
I guess there may be other ways. We don't know.
At some point. But yeah, it's this kind of fascinating idea, but it's really like tricky. Like I said, I keep doubting it because what are you going to do? How do you move forward with this? And every time they manage to do something new, and then I say, why was I doubting this?
Oh yeah.
So what else should we talk about with this? Should we talk about the greatest cameo? Because there is a scene where Carol found out that they were consuming people, that the joined were consuming the dead. This ends up being because they needed like a source of protein, and they can't kill anybody or anything. Like they can't kill any animals or anything. And so how do you sustain enough protein for everybody? And it turns out, well, they taking the dead bodies and breaking them down into like a protein source. And that's what the joining are eating, not because they're like zombies or anything, but because they literally can't kill animals and they need enough protein to sustain them.
Yeah, that was a fun, like, little thing. I mean, that was a fun cameo.
They ended up having a cameo of an explainer on video, and it was John Cena.
Yeah, it was John Cena. Oh, yeah. It's funny because, like,
Peacemaker's one of the joined.
Yes, he's one of the joined. It's funny because there's one point where a bunch of people were cleaning up Carol's home after like the grenade explosion. I think one of them was like the mayor of Albuquerque, and it's actually the mayor of Albuquerque. Like this
like
is a concept,
lawn, I think, or something. Yeah,
yeah. This is a concept that lends itself to all kinds of fun cameos. So can't wait to see what they do with it.
They did some promotional ones with like Bryan Cranston and some of the other
they
cast
did
with, like,
one with
Breaking Bad.
Carol Burnett. They did one, like
Yeah.
which was really funny. Yeah, I saw like some of the promotional ones.
Yeah, it's just kind of like interesting. Did you hear about the schizophrenic woman in real life that thought that her fridge was talking to her because they were doing that promotional thing?
Oh, yeah.
Her name just happened to be Carol. Yeah, they're doing some interesting promotion and stuff for this. There's like, if you have like a Roku TV, I think it's still on there where like it goes into the screensaver mode or whatever, and it passes the movie theater, and on the marquee it says "Hello, Carol." They're doing like, and they've been putting up billboards of it and stuff that say "Hello, Carol," and doing that kind of stuff on smart fridges and other things. It's interesting. Like I said, sometimes it can go too far, like a case with the schizophrenic woman that thought her fridge was talking to her because of that. But yeah, it's just I don't know, it's such a weird show to talk about because it feels like there's not much going on, but there is. There's like a lot going on at the same time.
It's a sober, yeah, there's a lot to chew on, and of course, like, it's, again, Vince Gilligan doing what Vince Gilligan does best, which it's a character study, because, like, we're primarily, the focus is on Carol and how she's dealing with the situation, and she goes on an entire character journey throughout the season. She goes from opposition and uncomfort to eventually acceptance to, betrayal and now back to opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting. And of course, Racy Horton's fantastic. I know, like, I'm loved out. I can't wait till season 2. Probably not gonna be a while for season 2, though.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while before, that's just kind of like the way of TV now. We don't get seasons every year anymore, usually. But this is one to keep watching for, and it's also interesting that Vince Gilligan's first project with Apple TV Plus is this super high concept thing, which is what Apple TV Plus's whole brand seems to be about, is making like super high concept shows.
Oh yeah,
And
exactly.
this is about as high concept as you can get.
They seem to be really interested in high concept shows, not necessarily like franchise shows.
Mhm.
Like PLUR1BUS is a show that literally would not get greenlit in most places, especially like if it wasn't from Vince Gilligan to begin with.
Like I said, you take Vince Gilligan's name off of it, and you just look at the premise, and it's like, no, this can't work. There's no way this can work.
It would have a difficult time getting greenlit. But anyway.
But it's a fantastic and interesting and very different from anything else on TV show that now exists. So we'll have to see where they go. If they have a 5-season plan, I'm like, how? I mean, I'm sure there's somewhere they're going with it, but this is the weird state of mind I have with the show is every time I'm like, well, what the fuck are they going to do now? And then they do something and it's like, oh, okay. They actually did something. That's interesting. But what the fuck are they going to do now? And I'm like in this perpetual run with that. So I'm like, I can't even imagine where they're going with season 2. I'm very curious, but I can't most shows when you're like hyped waiting for the next season, your kind of imagination runs wild and you think of possibilities. I got nothing.
Yeah, same. Can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, but that's it. That is PLUR1BUS, and we'll be talking about that again when the next season comes out. Next week, we are going to be doing a new entry into the Baba Yaga effect, which is when we do a John Wick movie and then pair it up with one of the movies that's kind of inspired by it or in the same kind of vein. The first one we just did John Wick. I think the second one we did John Wick 2 and Nobody. I think the third one we did John Wick 3 and Violent Night. Is it not? Is it Violent Night?
Night.
That's the Christmas one, right? The Santa one?
Yeah.
And then the last one we did was John Wick 4 and Bullet Train. And so now we're doing it again. So you're asking, but there's no John Wick 5. Well, there is a John Wick spinoff. It's called Ballerina, and that's why next week we're doing the Baba Yaga Effect spinoff. And we're going to be doing Ballerina, which is a spinoff of John Wick, which John Wick is in. The character and Keanu Reeves playing that character is in this movie. And then we're pairing that up with Sisu, which is a movie that takes place around World War II, towards the end of World War II in Finland and in Eastern Europe. So that's what we're going to be covering next week. So stay tuned for that. Until then, you can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter. My name is @Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will on both those platforms. He's @VoxelHero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.blogspot.com. You can, if you go to our website and open up a container store for any of our podcast episodes and scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find links to all of our social accounts, including our Facebook, our Twitter, all those things. You also get a link to our RSS feed, SoundCloud page. You can subscribe to this podcast to your favorite podcast client of choice like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts, and the entire backlog of our podcast as well as additional content is available on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. Until next week, thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.